You're with the hard facts brought to you straight from the CNN News 18 Federal Bank Primetime Studio. Viewers, after targeting the Adanis last year, the shadowy self-styled whistleblower Hindenburg has now hit India's market regulator Sebi and its chairman Madhabi Butch. A report put out by Hindenburg a few months after Sebi issued show cause notice to the entity claims that the investigation by the Sebi, or the Security Exchange Board of India, into Adani's alleged stock manipulation was covered up due to a conflict of interest that extended to the very top of the board. The Hindenburg report suggested, alleged, call it what you want to, that Madhabi Butch held directly or indirectly a stake in the Adani-linked offshore firm that she investigated as part of a high-powered committee. Madhabi Butch and the Sebi have rubbished the report. Here, in summary, viewers, are the allegations and the clarifications. So let me take you through them on your screens. Hindenburg's charge: Sebi chair and husband held a stake in offshore funds used by Vinod Adani, hinting therefore, viewers, at a conflict of interest. The Sebi chief has responded by saying that the investment was made in 2015, 2 years before Butch became Sebi chief. Let's look at the next accusation. After joining Sebi, says Hindenburg, Butch purportedly sought to redeem the units held with the fund. Sebi chief responds by saying no hesitation in disclosing funds. Finance are an open book. Viewers, there is another charge. Sebi has taken no action against other suspected Adani stakeholders. This is what Hindenburg has had to say in their report. The response coming from the Sebi is that these allegations are baseless and the insinuations without fact have been made in the report. Hindenburg has also gone on to allege that it doesn't think the Sebi can be considered an objective arbiter in the Adani matter because of this alleged quid pro quo. The Sebi chief and Sebi have both responded saying that this is an open attempt at character assassination. The BJP that was accused by the opposition, which quickly, once again, piggybacked on the Hindenburg report. And in principle, leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi alleged that the BJP covered up the alleged quid pro quo and therefore stood also to gain, has lashed out at the Congress. Listen in, viewers.
The Congress party, its allies and its closest allies, the Toolkit gang, have conspired together to usher in economic anarchy and instability in India. In their pathological hatred against Narendra Modi ji, led by Mr. Rahul Gandhi and his friends, Toolkit gangs, Congress party today has developed a hatred against India itself.
The savings of millions of Indians, hard-earned, honestly earned savings, are at risk. It is therefore imperative that this matter is investigated. Retail investors, honest investors, pensioners have three questions. The first, why has Chairperson Madhabi Butch not resigned? Second, God forbid something were to go wrong and investors were to lose their money. Who is responsible? Is the Prime Minister of India responsible? Is Madhabi Butch responsible? Or is Mr. Adani responsible? And finally, the Supreme Court has been looking at this matter. New allegations have emerged. Very serious, explosive allegations have emerged. Is the Supreme Court going to look at this matter suo motu again?
Now, when the first time the Hindenburg Group attacked the Adani's, viewers, the matter again escalated into a massive political fight because the Congress, led by Rahul Gandhi, insinuated that Gautam Adani and his companies were actually shortchanging investors, ordinary Indians, by resorting to market manipulation. The Supreme Court constituted an expert committee that looked into these allegations, viewers, produced a report which the Supreme Court in early January of this year said basically did not in any way suggest that Mr. Adani did what Hindenburg accused Adani of doing. Now, viewers, because of that accusation, Hindenburg, which actually is a short seller, benefited by hundreds and thousands of rupees, going into crores, viewers, after there was a run on the Adani shares and the stock market fell. Viewers, amidst these fresh claims, counter-arguments and the war of word in the Hindenburg versus Adani issue, the whistleblower's 416-word-long disclaimer in its latest report is catching attention as it reveals that the activist cum short seller may be betting once again on the fall of Adani stocks to profit. Market regulator Sebi was the first one to warn investors that they should read the disclaimer in the report, saying that one should assume that Hindenburg Research may have short positions in the securities covered in the report. Here's breaking down Hindenburg's disclaimer in 4 points. Number one, the disclaimer says that Hindenburg is no investment advisor. Hindenburg Research is not registered as an investment advisor in the United States or anywhere else in the world. The reports, therefore, are not recommendations. Number two, short at your own risk. The disclaimer clearly states that the report is nothing but, quote, opinion and investigative commentary, unquote, and that readers should do their own due diligence. 3. Hindenburg may be short Adani once again. Hindenburg has in the past admitted to have made $4.1 million of gross revenue, but break even at net level through its first report on Adani in January 2023 by shorting stocks or bonds of the conglomerate. Its clients had also shorted Adani in the past. This time it said readers should assume that Hindenburg or its clients could have a short position in all stocks or bonds and or derivatives of the stock covered in the report. Fourth, Hindenburg said information in the report is presented, quote, as is, unquote, without warranty or any kind, whether expressed or implied. This advisory could be one of the reasons, perhaps, viewers, that markets largely shrugged off the report. The Sensex, while it had lost some points in the morning, pretty much ended on even keel. The Nifty ended in the green, at least the Nifty bank stock ended in the green, and also the Nifty mid-cap 100 range index also ended in the green. So let's open up this conversation, viewers, because many people are wondering if this time the India alliance has actually jumped the gun. Let's first begin this conversation with J.N. Gupta, ex-executive director of the Securities Exchange Board of India. Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for joining us. I want to ask you simply this: what do you make of the fresh round of Hindenburg charges, especially those against the Sebi and its chair?
Very good evening. See, the first comment that I have is the report is nothing but a waste paper. It has nothing substantial to say, and allegations have nothing which can stick to anything. And if you look at everything that is there, it is just my feeling that something is wrong. It is not happening, and I always say a public servant is always very vulnerable to criticism of people who do not know anything, who do not have any stake in criticizing or maligning a public servant. So I will say in one sentence, the report is not even worthy of being sent to the dustbin, because probably dustbin also will not like the report.
Okay, well, this is an interesting conclusion. Obviously, we don't want to trivialize this matter, viewers, because at the end of the day, a large number of people have positions in the market and they're common people, common folk. So let's get into this. I'll come back to you, Mr. Gupta, to understand why you think that this report is not even worth trash. But Sanjay Jha is here with us, so is Dr. Raman, Dr. Ranganathan, and of course Sanju Verma, who once again would have done her homework. She knows this subject very, very well, viewers, because she has been part of the financial markets in the past as a prominent banker. Now, Sanjay Jha, what exactly is the reason why the opposition is so worked up about this second iteration of the Hindenburg Research? What is it that is making the opposition think that Sebi cannot be trusted in investigating the Adanis?
Good evening, Rahul. Give me a little bit of time and I will also debunk what Mr. Gupta has just talked about and prove to you that what he said deserves to go to the dustbin equally. Point number one, the Bharatiya Janata Party is behaving not like a ruling party, but like lawyers of the Adani Group, and that is a tragedy of Indian democracy. I can understand brazen batting for crony capitalism, but to become a handmaiden of the Adani Group for the ruling party, it's a shame. Honestly, it's a shame. The second point, I heard my good friend Ravi Shankar Prasad ji talk about this is an attack on India. I mean, can you imagine how absolutely crude and vulgar it is of the BJP to equate Mr. Adani to India? I mean, is India, the great country, been reduced to one industrial group that has seen a very extraordinary rise in its stock market fortunes, which is what Hindenburg has exposed as this being done in a very sleazy manner. Let me quickly come down to what Mr. Gupta said about the Hindenburg expose. Since he is apparently ex-Sebi and I haven't heard of him or met him before, here's a question for you, Mr. Gupta. Do you not find it weird, if not altogether disturbing and distressing, that the chairman of Sebi had invested in an offshore fund which had a deep interest of Mr. Vinod Adani, who's the brother of Mr. Gautam Adani, whose chief investment officer was a guy called Anil Ahuja, who, by the way, worked with the Adani Enterprises. And whether the chairman of Sebi even made these disclosures to the Supreme Court when she's investigating the Adani Group for the biggest stock market meltdown. For you, Mr. Gupta, this doesn't mean anything at all. I mean, I find that absolutely stunning in terms of the mendacity in your dismissal of the Hindenburg report. Point number two, very quickly, Rahul.
Yeah.
I've also been involved with two very serious investment bankers from banks from abroad. So we all know how to read a balance sheet and a P&L account. So let me put it up for you, because I'm sure you don't have unlimited time for this debate. But here is a question. End of day, all the transactions that have happened, the buying and selling of the stock exchange are through electronic transfers. It is not very difficult to make out who are the overseas entities. Even if they're hiding behind layers, you can make out who they are if you want to investigate it. Sebi, for the last year and a half, says we have hit a blank wall. Does anybody believe that? No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. When this government wanted to create a headline, they sent a Gulf jet, some airline jet, private jet, all the way to get Mehul Choksi. And of course, they did not get him because the idea was just to create a headline. I want to ask this question because Sebi reports to the finance ministry. It's not independent as we see it. It is really got a relationship like the RBI has with the finance ministry. What was the finance ministry doing? Because here is one data that will stun all your viewers. Viewers of CNN, News18. In 2014, the net wealth of Adani was 4.5 billion. After Mr. Modi becomes the Prime Minister, in 2020, the net worth goes from 4.5 billion to 11 billion,
Okay.
more than double. Now, here is the story, Rahul, my last line. In 2021,
Yes.
that 11 billion becomes 76 billion.
Okay.
And a year later, Mr. Adani is the richest man in the world with 150 billion. And Sebi did not believe that it was something that had to be looked into.
Okay.
Because this was not
Okay.
a software company coming out with an AI technology.
Right. I understand
It was
that.
a blatant open and shut case, Rahul.
Look, I'm
Thank you
not
for the
here
time.
to hold any brief for anybody. I just also want to very quickly point that according to the IANS, which is a press agency, Rahul Gandhi actually has made some handsome profits investing in that stock market. He made 46.5 lakhs in just 5 months. At this rate, he could end up
Find out
actually
who owns
doing better.
IANS.
He could be doing
Find out
better.
who is the owner of
come on.
IANS.
Now, you know,
You'll be surprised.
they've put it out, they've tweeted
It's a
it.
big
Rahul Gandhi is
No,
free
that is
to
fine.
sue
I'm
them.
not, Rahul
I'm
Gandhi
just
may
saying.
have made money, but
Okay,
also find
he's
out who
made money.
owns IANS.
Okay,
Also find out.
the same stock market that Rahul Gandhi says, don't put your money in, my friends, because you could end up burning your fingers. He's busy putting in a lot of money and making a lot on it, on his investments. 46.5 crore viewers in just 4 months.
Comment, Rahul.
That's,
I mean,
no, I'm just saying. I'm not
What is the
holding a
conflict
brief
with
for
Adani?
anybody. There are just 3
Has
points.
Rahul Gandhi- is Rahul
Sanjay
Gandhi
Jha, I never
holding an
interrupted
Adani
you.
stock?
Now you
No,
can't
this is
speak
not
over me,
done.
please. That's not fair. I never interrupted anybody. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of it all. Yes, viewers, people have got rich in this country. A large number of people have got very rich in very short period of time. They've done well for themselves. Those same people are being wooed by opposition parties, including the Congress, to invest in their states and make further money. So I don't understand this hypocrisy. Why do we go after the capitalists, etc., unless you have something really against them? Bring it out, take them to the cleaners, no problems. A couple of points. Sanjay Jha began with 2 rhetorical points, viewers. Ruling party, lawyers for Adani. That can be said about the Congress. They are apparently taking Hindenburg at its word, even though Hindenburg has put out an advisory saying that, look, we have certain stakes in these companies. We will benefit if the stocks fall because we are short sellers at the end of the day. So is the Congress party by the same yardstick working for a quid pro quo? I don't know, viewers. That could be said. So 2 rhetorical points we need to remove. There's an attack on India, this, that, the other. Well, all of that is fine. Set it across. Yes, there is one question that I must put to the BJP spokesperson. Now, this is an important one. Ms. Verma, do you believe that Madhavi Butch, because she hasn't put out that part of the question that has been raised, did she make a full disclosure to the Supreme Court about her conflict of interest while she was part of this investigation? Because that is the one area that her statement hasn't really gone into. And that is raising a few questions or eyebrows.
Rahul, we are 16 minutes into the debate.
Yeah.
My only request is I did not interject Sanjay Jha even once.
Yes.
I need my time.
Yes.
Before you start telling me, Sanju Verma, let's put the faders down because
Okay.
I don't want to be heckled. Now with that disclaimer out, let me make a few points for the benefit of your viewers. First and foremost, for the Congress panelists to sit here and say that Mr. J.N. Gupta apparently worked for the Sebi, I think that is humiliating. Mr. J.N. Gupta was with Sebi between 1994 and 1996 and then took over as executive director of Sebi in July 2009. He's a renowned figure in his own right. So I don't think any panelist on your panel, much less the Congress, has the right to humiliate J.N. Gupta, a renowned Sebi veteran. And if he says Hindenburg report needs to be consigned to the dustbin, so be it. Point number 1. So thank you, Mr. J.N. Gupta, for saying as much without mincing words. Now, point number 2, I will come to your question, but I need to respond to some of the allegations. First and foremost, there are 7 listed companies of Adani Group today. 5 out of these 7 listed Adani Group companies came into existence during the Congress regime. The commodity trading business of Adani came into existence in 1988 when Amar Singh Chaudhary was the Gujarat Chief Minister and Rajiv Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi's father, was the Prime Minister. Adani Enterprises, the flagship Adani Group company, came about in 1990 to 93, again when Congress's P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister. Adani was given land at the rate of 10 rupees per square meter for the first SEZ that Adani set up way back in 2006. The first in-principle approval for Adani to take over Mundra port came when the Congress-led UPA was in power. Today, Adani is executing $4 billion worth of projects in Telangana. Adani had order book size of 78,000 crore from Rajasthan alone when Ashok Gehlot was the chief minister, and Adani was given blanket permission to mine coal from the Chhattisgarh forest when Bhupesh Baghel was the chief minister of Chhattisgarh before he was booted out in December 2023. Now that I have showcased that Adani has been mollycoddled much more by the Congress regimes than the BJP, the question that begets an answer is, did Madhavi Puri Butch not make complete disclosures? One by one, I will answer for the benefit of your audience. There are three firms that have come into the center of the controversy. One is Agora Advisory. Madhavi Puri Butch's investment in Agora is dormant. She redeemed her investments in Agora when she became a full-time member in 2017, a full-time member of the Sebi. She made these investments in Agora in 2015. The second fund where Dhaval Butch, her husband, and Madhavi have had investment, or pecuniary advantages, pecuniary benefits, commercial benefits, was a fund floated by IIFL, a known brokerage house. The concerned fund is called IPE Plus One. Now, Rahul Gandhi and his entire ecosystem said IPE Plus One invested in Adani Group shares, and since Madhavi Butch and Dhaval Butch invested in IPE Plus One, Dhaval Butch, Madhavi Butch have a nexus with Adani. Now, IIFL has clearly showcased, put out the portfolio. Never in its entire history has IPE Plus One directly or indirectly invested in any Adani Group company. Now, the third person at the center of the controversy is Anil Ahuja. Who is Anil Ahuja? Anil Ahuja is the Chief Investment Officer of IPE Plus One. Anil Ahuja is not just a batchmate of Dhaval Butch from their IIT Delhi days. I know of Anil Ahuja. Anil Ahuja worked with Citibank. Anil Ahuja worked with JP Morgan. Anil Ahuja worked with 3-1 Capital. And yes, Anil Ahuja also happened to be a director at Adani Enterprises before he left all that and started his own fund called the IPE Plus under the aegis of IIFL. My last point is this, Rahul. Disclosure norms always suggest that there is a cool-off period. Imagine now, I have worked in the biggest. Now, when we used to get big orders from, say, JP Morgan, some orders used to come in late at night from the US desk. Early morning, when we used to come to the trading desk, we used to realize, acha bhai, aaj to ye share kharidna hai, you have to buy 2 million shares of this. We were told that no trader, no investment banker can invest now in these shares for the next 7 days or next 15 days. You cannot use your mobile phones on the floor of the house, but it does floor of the trading desk.
Okay.
And no one can trade derivatives for the next 20 days. Please wait now. But there is never a blanket permission that aap kabhi given shares mein invest kar hi nahi sakte. And if you have redeemed those shares before you become a full-time director, which is what Madhavi Butch did, then there is no quid pro quo whereby she benefited unduly. And my last point, and this is the most important one. And the last one, please bear with me for 10. I've put out this tweet which has gone viral. I have asked just 3 questions. Rahul Gandhi, are you a close friend of Mark Kingdon of Kingdon Capital? Rahul Gandhi, are you friends with Anla Cheng, the wife of Mark Kingdon? Did Nathan Anderson of Hindenburg, Mark Kingdon and Anla Cheng connive with malafide intent to target SBI and LIC? Then and now SBI under the garb of disclosures. Please note, Mark and Anla made huge windfall gains last year after Adani's stock price crashed. Did Rahul Gandhi benefit too in that crash where Adani stocks were shorted in a major way? These are the questions that need to be answered, and please don't forget.
Rahul, one second. I need to open this up. Now, one second. Sanjay Jhaji, 1 minute, please. I have to open this up also.
News. I need to give a rejoinder, a clarification for your viewers.
Okay, what is it?
30 seconds.
What is it? Please go ahead. What is it?
Okay. Yeah. The most important point that I think the BJP spokesperson forgot, that the Prime Minister during the campaign himself admitted that there is a lot of black
Talk
money.
about National Herald scam. Prime Minister.
One second, please, we can't have this. If you guys speak over each other, the other panelists are not going to get a chance.
Correct.
I only have till
राहुल,
1932.
प्रधानमंत्री ने
Yes.
चुनाव अभियान के दौरान खुद ही कहा था कि टेम्पो में काला धन अदानी अंबानी के पास है, तो हम तो यही
Okay, that is all rhetoric. Now let's not bring in, let's stick to the issue here, please. Lower everyone's faders, stick to the issue, please. I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan. I also want to bring in Dr. Raman. No, one second. Let's stick to this issue, please. 1 second. Dr. Ranganathan and Dr. Raman, let me bring you in. I think Mr. Gupta has stated a point. Dr. Ranganathan, sorry, it's taken me till 1924 to come to you. Ms. Verma had 8 minutes exactly, and Sanjay Jha had another 6.23, 6 minutes, 23 seconds. So both of them have had a long introduction. Dr. Ranganathan, what would you like to say about this? Because there is still one question. While everyone is speaking for Ms. Butch, there is this one doubt whether she made a full disclosure to the Supreme Court.
Good evening, Rahul. It's been an absolutely wonderful discussion, I have to say this. So I did not mind coming in second from last. Dr. Sumant Raman is also waiting for his turn. So please bear with me for 2 or 3 minutes. I need to make 3 very quick points. The Indian stock market, that far from crashing, had an intraday high of 80,000, has, I guess, answered Hindenburg and Rahul. I really don't know the difference between two now. One is a short seller and the other sells himself short. 3 things, Rahul, are constant in life: death, taxes, and Rahul Gandhi being an industrial scale hypocrite. I have said this before and I repeat, making sense of him is as easy as consuming rasam with chopsticks. He said yesterday, and I quote, there is a tweet there, you can verify, quote, there is a significant risk in investing in the Indian stock market because the institution that governs it is compromised, unquote. Really? This is how you are talking about our Indian stock market? This is the same Rahul Gandhi who has earned 46 lakhs in the last 5 months through investments in the same stock market that he says is compromised. If he has any integrity, he should donate those 46 lakhs to the Wayanad Disaster Relief Fund. Number 2, Rahul, I've said this before as well, I'm ambivalent about the success or failure of a private company because its path is dictated by competition through Darwinian evolution. If the company is honest and develops great products and adapts to the changing environment, it will succeed. So I view the success or failure of Adani as gravely or as lightly as the success or failure of Reliance or Lehman Brothers or Nokia. What concerns me as an Indian is that my nation's wealth is not wiped out, that the barometer of my nation's prosperity, the stock exchange, does not suffer, that millions of my fellow countrymen do not become poorer because the stock of an Indian company in which our government is heavily invested in is wiped out because of a claim. And it is not enough for people to say that India has enough checks and balances to detect fraud in time. We clearly don't. Judging by the Malia and Nirav Modi and Harshad Mehta and Ketan Parikh fiascos. Rahul, if we don't take these issues seriously, we might as well shut down our stock exchange and instead start exchanging rumors and gossips regarding billion-dollar corporations and then dance at their funeral. Short-changing a private company is one thing, but all of us have a stake in making sure no one short-changes India. Therefore, it was crucial that an independent Indian agency investigate the entire Hindenburg Adani issue, and the Supreme Court did. Which brings me very quickly to point number 3. When it comes to conflict of interest, I'm afraid we Indians understand conflict, we understand interest, but not when separated by a preposition. Here is how I see it, very briefly. The Supreme Court asked Sebi chief to investigate Adani. It all boils down to the following. Did the Sebi chief disclose to the Supreme Court that 1, she and her husband had invested in an offshore fund that had sworn, risking perjury, that it had never bought Adani bonds or stock? 2, that the said fund was run by a man who was on the board of Adani companies and a director of Adani Enterprises? 3, that the said fund was also invested in by the brother of Gautam Adani and allegedly used for manipulating Adani stocks? If she did, then I don't see any problem, except for the fact that the Supreme Court should also have made this disclosure public, because as the ultimate overseer of the regulator and arbiter of justice, it was the Supreme Court's duty to make sure the perception of Sebi in the world's eye is totally above board when it is adjudicated on alleged malpractice. The Supreme Court is as yet silent on this matter. It should not be. It should come out and declare one way or the other its faith in Miss Butch and Sebi.
That's an important point, viewers, because it comes back to that. Now, the Supreme Court in its judgment, Dr. Raman, did say that Sebi is the credible arbiter. It looked at all the facts and made this assumption, which it then locked into the judgment, and it became a declaration. So then what are we worried about?
Okay, Rahul, first of all, a few points. One, I have always maintained that it is not the job of the BJP or those who support Mr. Modi to defend anyone and anybody who is actually accused by an external agency. Now, has Mr. Modi been accused by Hindenburg? Has the BJP been accused by Hindenburg? Why are they jumping in defense of Madhavi Puri Bhuj? It is her cross to bear. She is going to say whether she is innocent or guilty. But, as the old saying goes, don't protest too much. Why would the entire ecosystem come out? This is all rubbish. Nothing is there. Okay, Hindenburg is not doing this for charity. He is not doing this out of the goodness of his heart that India should have a robust regulatory system. He is doing it to short the market. Let's assume he's a crook. Okay, let's do that. Now, he is bringing certain charges. Many of these charges, the lady herself has accepted. She has not denied it. She has not said, I have not made the investment. She said, I made it 2 years before I joined Sebi, which is fine. And there are also the issue of the two consulting companies which are being run. She says they became dormant in point number 11 of her response. And then point number 12, she said, my husband continued to operate them. There are a lot of contradictions. Now, my point is very simple. When there are two issues here. One, is there illegality? We don't know yet. I don't know. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. But is there conflict of interest? There sure as hell is. I mean, if you say that this is not conflict of interest, you need to redefine what conflict of interest actually means. Her husband is doing consulting by her own admission in a firm which is owned by her in India and where she has transferred the shares to her husband in Singapore, and that continues to generate revenue. Who are the people who are paying this company?
Okay, so let me ask Mr.
Are there
J.N. Gupta.
companies which are being regulated under Sebi?
Okay, I'm going to bring in Mr. J.N. Gupta. Mr. J.N. Gupta, has a full disclosure been made? Ought it to have been made in public interest in the very beginning by Ms. Butch? That is a fundamental question. And if it hasn't, is there not a problem?
I will tell you first, I thank you, Sanju Verma, for trying to protect me. But since I have been a public servant, so public servants are immune to any criticism because they do what their conscience feel. Okay, so that is not the whosoever, whatever. Now, I will say a couple of things. One is this, what is the definition of conflict of interest? And till how the conflict of interest continue. If you recall this judgment of Supreme Court in the same Adani case, there was an allegation made against one of the members that member had consulted or given opinion to Adani. And Supreme Court said you got to draw a line beyond which you cannot try to invent the conflict. Now here the situation is that investment was made in 2015 when she was not even remotely connected to Sebi, and investment is made in a vehicle or an investment firm where she invested maybe 1 or 2% of the thing.
Yeah.
And when you make an investment, what you see that if the firm registered, it is whatever licenses are required is there or not, the firm does KYC of yours, and now what we are expecting is that when I am investing in a mutual fund does my KYC, I look their certification, but I should ask the mutual fund that who are your 2 lakh subscribers, give me their KYC. If I am comfortable with those people, I will invest. If I not. Second, then I should ask the fund that wherever you are investing, just let me assure that nobody is distantly connected with me or there is no conflict. So that was in 2015. And in 2023, you are asking 8 years later that what was your relationship? So even if there was a issue that it was invested in Adani, but was in 2015, Adani was such a fear that you should not be touching Adani shares.
Okay.
So what I mean to say, it is the second most important point I want to make.
Rahul
It is,
Arichanda.
I don't want to get into the political battle. I just want to say, please do not malign your regulator. Sebi today is one of the
Sir,
most.
is it all right? Is it all right for the
Can I
regulator
Let's
to
not
have
speak.
a
No, no,
consulting
gentlemen,
company?
I am
I
not
don't
entertaining
intervene
anyone
in
else.
between.
Is it okay
I'm not
for a
entertaining
consulting
anyone
company
else.
to
I'm
have
only
a
entertaining
consulting
Mr. Gupta.
company?
Sir, I will not stop because it is about the organization.
Okay.
Integrity of the organization.
Okay, well, viewers, that
Rahul,
unfortunately,
let me
is it
no one is
okay
above
for
question.
the
No
head
one
of
is
the
above
regulator
question.
there is a
Once again,
question-
everyone's
have a
faders, please
consulting
down. No
Rahul,
one is
can I-
above question, viewers. We are only trying here to put all the points of view in the public domain. This is not a court of arbitration. And I would tend to agree, still, that in the interest of full disclosure, we should know if Madhvi Butch actually did recuse herself when it came to certain issues, when it came to investigations, and that is easily doable. Either the Supreme Court does it, or Ms. Butch herself come out and clarify once again. She has said, however, that she will be putting out more details in connection with this. We'll wait, viewers, because right now we are not jumping to any conclusions. Let's wait, let's see what happens.